it's like I said, when it comes to breeding, it's a little more work on me, but it's totally worth it
Yeah.
because in the end, this is more doable for me and for my geckos.
Hey, welcome back to the Gecko Cove Connection. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Crystal from Crystal's Creatures. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I'm excited. So we've actually, talked a few times via Instagram. I feel like most people in the gecko world really dive in to the community on Instagram more than any other platform. Do you find that most people that you sort of meet are through Instagram?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't really gravitate towards Facebook because of the groups that are on there.
that's
They're
what I hear.
just they're scary. Especially for like newcomers. It's like it was very scary for me when I first joined, and I met like people here and there, but I mostly just did it on my own. Uh, I was I would ask for advice like on the
hmm
Facebook groups and stuff, but it was really
It's
they would like
intimidating,
attack.
and
Yeah,
some
everything
people
they
are
would
just
attack.
rude.
Yes, yes. So I after that I was like, no, thank you. So I don't really go to those anymore. Yeah, but I gravitate more towards Instagram.
Okay,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Everybody likes beautiful pictures of geckos. You can't go wrong with that. Nobody
yeah,
argues with those. And Facebook, that's sort of my generation. Facebook started about a year before I went to college. So Facebook will always have a special place in my heart. Um, but I understand that not everybody's the nicest, but I've also met some amazing people through Facebook. I've had some great interactions. I do find it kind of funny in the gargoyle world how limited even the information is. There's so many crested gecko people and even lychee
yeah,
people, but
yeah.
gargoyles, it's like you post a question, it's like crickets. But yeah, it's kind of fun. So, how did you get into
Mhm.
the world of geckos? Did you always like reptiles? What's your story?
Yes, I've always liked reptiles, but my parents never really let me keep any.
Okay, sounds
So the
familiar.
yeah, so the moment that like I was able to move out and stuff, like I started with turtles.
Oh,
So I
cool.
got turtles, and then right after that my husband joined the military, so um that's when
What
I
kind of
started.
turtles did you keep, if you
They
don't
were
mind me
the red
asking?
ear slider turtles.
Ah, you got suckered into those,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Uh-huh. Yeah, they're so cute when they're tiny. It's like, and then they get huge, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yep, yep. And these are expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
was I think everybody loves turtles when they're little tiny things.
Yeah,
That's
they're little
why
tiny.
they're illegal, right?
Yeah.
But I actually ended up the first time I ever bought a turtle was actually a what are they called? Not a musk turtle, a little stink pot. So I got a regular common stink pot and I got a razorback stink pot. And they are the cutest little things in the world. I actually gave them to my cousin. She loved them for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the turtles are a lot of fun, but a lot of work.
Yes. They're
So you started with that, and then how did that evolve into geckos?
I actually I really hate this, but I got one
They're fun.
from Petco.
Hey, they're
uh,
you know they're not. Trust me, they could be doing things better, but they are a
yes.
gateway to this community. And what I respect is that there are some great people who work at those stores,
Yeah.
and if they can give good information, and they care. Not every store's going to have anybody like that,
Yeah.
but hopefully you had some good information. Did you get good information or did you get
No,
the
not
the dud?
really.
Mm.
No. Yeah, the person that I got was like, "Which one do you want?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I was like, "Oh well." There was only one in there. I'm like, "I'll take that one." Um,
Yep.
but it was just like your basic crested gecko. And after I started researching, um, just a little bit more on crested geckos because it was really an
Hmm.
impulse buy for me. So that's how it started for me.
Love it. That's
I
all
felt like
right.
I just needed to like rescue it, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
but it unfortunately didn't last long.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, I feel like every animal that I did end up getting from like a pet store, like a big pet store,
Yeah, the
didn't
chains.
really, yeah, didn't really last long. So that's when I started looking into like finding breeders, and I got into the Facebook groups and stuff, and then that's when I discovered gargoyle geckos, and I'm like, oh
Nice.
my god! I was like, those are so cool. But the ones that I like are, of course, the high colored ones, which were very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, oh man. So when I started out with the gargoyles, what I did was I would buy the babies and just let them grow out instead of, like buying straightforward the adults with the big amount of
Yeah, with
color.
all the flashy colors and the flashy price
Yes.
tag. Yeah, so you
Yeah.
can get a good
But
deal on a baby.
yeah, but I was also going for the ones that had really good lineage, knowing that, the parents had, good saturation color. So even
Yeah.
though the ones that I had weren't like vibrant and like, wow, I knew that in the future they were going to produce like really, really cool, offspring due to their genetics. And
That's awesome.
the first
So
one that I
you
got,
did someone tell you that, or did you just kind of intuitively know that
I
working with
well, I
animals?
did a lot of research before I even purchased a gargoyle gecko, and
Okay.
then I think it was um, I met somebody on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
She's a gecko nerd. Is it? Uh,
The gecko nerd. I don't know who the gecko nerd is, but
yeah, I forgot her name.
yeah,
I'm
no,
so sorry, but
no, it's
yeah,
fine.
she helped me out a lot, and she kind of would answer my questions whenever I needed. I had a question or whatever.
That's
But
awesome. We love people
yeah,
like that.
majority of the time, it was more me just learning by myself. Just because, like I said, it was hard to get, find a good, I guess, mentor. Because that's what I
Yeah.
was looking for in the beginning was someone that would mentor me and, help me understand. But I never found that really.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time when I was getting into it, it was a big thing. Like, no one really had time, to, mentor somebody else.
Well, yeah.
So,
So, what year did you get into
uh,
crested geckos slash gargoyle geckos? They might be different.
2017.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah, right before. Okay. So, you've been in it for a little bit, and yeah,
Yeah.
I've noticed a shift even in the time I've been in this hobby, which is only 3 or 4 years, where people that I've talked to that are sort of in your boat got in 2015, 16, 17.
Hmm.
Um, there was a different mindset with breeders back then. Like there was a lot more gatekeeping. There was a lot more, keeping everything like this is, I know how to breed these. These are not so
Hmm.
easy. And almost like I remember with the leeches when I started researching them, everything online that I saw was like, these things are the most vicious, hard to breed, things. They're cool
Yeah.
pets. Buy them as a pet, but don't breed them, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even as a pet, they might not, they're going to be, cranky and mean all the time, which we know that isn't true. I
Yeah.
think people just didn't want the competition where now people are
Hmm.
realizing there's room for all of us.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So that's hopefully it's a little bit better. Have you found someone that you feel is sort of a mentor to you now?
Um, I really look up to Paige from Cosmic.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, she'll answer my questions, and you know, I have like friends that I'll go to here and there, but I mean, I feel like I know most of the information just by, reading and,
Hmm.
searching and stuff. But if there's like ever
Watching all of my
something,
videos.
yeah, that too. Yeah, you know, uh, yeah, so I try to be that, because I get people that message me too,
Yeah.
on like certain, questions and stuff. And, I come to it as, ask me whatever you want, I'll answer whatever. I was like, don't feel like you need to, don't ever feel that I'm gonna, judge you or whatever. And, that was hard, that's hard for people to actually ask questions, because they feel like they're going to get
Hmm.
criticized, and they're going to be like, no, you're doing it wrong, and blah blah blah. So when I get, messages on Instagram, I'm like, I'll
You're
help
going to treat
you.
them like you wanted to be treated.
Yeah, exactly, like the way that I felt like I should have,
Yeah.
which I didn't get. So I'm like, I'm going to give it to, the people that message me. I'm going to do that to them, because you don't find, sometimes you still don't even find that. There's some people that want to
Yeah.
keep that information to themselves, and I'm like, why?
Right.
Help as many people as possible.
Well,
It's like,
we haven't had a ton of interactions, but just in the little interactions that we have had, we've messaged a few times about not only getting on this podcast, but I had some questions about your enclosures behind you. I had
yeah.
questions about some of the eyebrow geckos. That
Yeah.
I keep
Yeah.
trying to coin it the Eugene Levy line. And to your credit, I had a blast just messaging back and forth, and
Yeah.
and I do that with people like you, with you mentioned Paige, she's fantastic with this.
Hmm.
Darren, a lot of the people I've had on this podcast, uh, Chris and I probably from Buckeye Rex message each other way too much. Where my wife's like, Who are you talking to that frequently?" I'm like, "Don't worry, it's Chris," you know. But it's nice to have that network. It's nice to
Yes.
have that group of people that you can kind of go, "Hey, I know a lot about these animals, but I don't know everything, and
Yeah.
we're stronger together as a community."
Hmm.
Can we bounce ideas like, I've got an egg that's not looking the exact same way all the other eggs look.
Yes.
Can you help me out with this? And so that's great that you're doing that in the community. And I've noticed it with my questions to you. So kudos to
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
um, so let me ask you this. So one of the questions I did ask you was about your enclosures behind you. And I think that's a really interesting, display, because a lot of people are going with the PVC or the glass, and it's expensive. It's
It
very
is.
expensive. It's heavy.
Hmm.
So what are those enclosures behind you? They don't look like the ones from the Container Store that everybody's going nuts for, but what are they?
Yeah, these are the stackable shoe boxes.
Okay.
I get them on Amazon. I currently have 4 different sizes. Um, these big ones right here. Oh, I can't get my finger right here.
Yeah, it's always fun trying to do the reverse.
Yeah, those
Okay, yeah.
house my adults. But I don't keep pairs together. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, so these are the bigger ones. These are the ones that I really, really love. Um, and then these are the ones that house like my juveniles, then like subadults.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I
What
have like,
what weight would you consider juvenile to subadult?
um I don't really weigh them. I go more off of like look in the
Okay, like
enclosure.
sort of size.
Yeah, like if they don't look like they have enough room, then I'll upgrade them.
Okay.
Um yeah, I don't.
I think that's the luxury of me having only like 20 geckos is I'm still like,
Yeah.
I'm still weighing every gram. Are you gaining
I
weight, losing
used to
weight? And
do
I'm
that
like,
in the beginning. I used to do that all the time, just weighing
yeah,
them. And I'm just like, I cannot do that anymore, because I have like almost 150 geckos. And I'm just like, I can't, weigh them individually, because it's going to
that
take
would
up
take an
so much
entire evening
time.
just to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if
No.
I have to weigh
No,
them,
that
I'll
makes
weigh them.
sense.
But yeah, it's easier too, because since I'm military and I move like every
Hmm.
3 to 4 years, um, it's easier for me to travel with these than it is to travel with those actual like big old, the PVC pipe, the PVC ones.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's easier to clean these too, and to break them down, and you know It's
Yeah,
just
if
so
you've got
much
over a
easier.
hundred geckos and you have to move every 3 to 4 years, now you
Yes.
know you've been doing this for what 8 years now or something close to that.
Yeah,
Um, moves could be a challenge. I
very.
and those are probably a lot lighter, like you said,
Oh
and
God, yeah.
easier. Um, have you moved recently with them, and how did that work? Did you break them all down, or
Well,
what does that look like?
yeah. I actually have only been in Washington State for a year, so I came
Oh,
from
cool.
Georgia. Um, but yeah, what I did was I just broke them down. I cleaned them, broke them down, put them in boxes, and then because when they're flat, when they come to you, they just flatten out.
Okay.
So it's really easy because they're plastic, so they're really easy to clean, and they're really easy to rebox and get them and move them. So that's
Yeah.
another reason why I love those, because it's just easy for me. I mean, trust me, if
Yeah.
I once my husband retires and we get a house, I want my own gecko room, and he already knows that. So it's like,
Yep.
and then I'll invest the money. But right now, like, I actually, when in the beginning, I had the Exoterras,
Mm-hmm.
and the movers would just break my stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like,
Yep.
no, 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 no. It's
You
like,
get pennies on the dollar back with
yes,
insurance.
yeah. So even though, like, sometimes I'll get, you know, comments like, why are you having them in totes and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I mean, for my situation and the way that I am, the way I move constantly, it's better for me, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like I have to do what's going to be good for me and also for my geckos, because they're thriving in these, and
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of other people gravitating towards them too as well. You know,
Well, I've seen a huge trend. I think you were one of the first people I saw with them, and you've had them for a while now, right? How
yeah.
many? What year did you start using those?
These specific ones, I've had them for about 5 years now.
I
But I
mean, you
actually,
were ahead of the curve.
yeah, I was using these Rubbermaid ones. Um, they have I have some up here.
Sure.
Um, they have they're like these, but they don't flatten. They're
Okay.
stackable and stuff. Um,
Is that the front opening enclosure by Rubbermaid?
yes, yes, those.
They discontinued those. I saw those
Yes.
online the other day, and I was like, "These are perfect,
Yes.
absolutely perfect."
I use
Because
those.
I'm jealous. Okay, because
But
I
like,
literally I didn't think we were going to talk about this, but I'm freaking out here because I literally emailed Rubbermaid, and I'm
yeah.
like, I can't find these anywhere. I can find them on like secondhand or Amazon. You can get a few sizes, the
Yeah.
smaller sizes, and they want like $100 for them. Which I'm like,
Yes.
it's a Rubbermaid tub, man.
They've actually
Um,
been discontinued for years now. So that's
really?
why,
Okay.
yeah.
Update
Cuz
your website,
I
Rubbermaid.
yeah. Yeah, because was it Bed Bath and Beyond is actually the ones that would sell them, and that's where I would
Oh,
get
okay.
them from. And
And they
then
went out of
they
business.
discontinued, exactly. So I bought them up, all of them as much as I could, until they finally, just stopped selling them. And I'm like, oh
Okay.
man. But then that's when I found these, and I like these better because,
Oh, okay. So you like
yeah.
those better even.
Oh
Okay.
yes, these are much better because the other ones. Let me show you, because I need you
Sure, yeah.
to really
To
understand.
visualize. Oh, I
Yeah,
love this.
yeah.
Well, and make me feel really bad. How cheap were they?
Um, I can't remember. I know they were
Were they
less
like
than
20, 30
20.
bucks?
They were less for me because I always use their coupons.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Wow, you're
uh,
smart.
they were because they come in a pack of like five or six or
Okay.
whatever. But you see these,
Oh, yeah. So those are the small ones. Okay.
yeah, these are the ones that I
Very
use the
cool.
most. Yeah, I like these, but when you stack these, they're still wobbly. So
Okay.
that's when I mean, I'll still use them every once in a while, if I don't have, new ones.
Yeah.
Um but I like these
Yeah,
much
why
better
throw them away?
because they're more stackable than those are. Those other ones are.
Well, yeah, that's like stacking just shoe boxes straight up. I mean, you're about to
Yeah.
get them to tip over.
Yeah, and they're
Okay.
not sturdy at all. So,
Yeah. So what's interesting? Okay, so those. Okay, I'm going to act like I know what I'm talking about here, but I've never seen them in person. Okay, but just in my research, because I was really freaked out or freaking out that I thought I found something that would just totally work, and it would have if they didn't discontinue it. But they have that size, which I think are close to a 6-quart tub, a little bit bigger than that. And then they had a maybe a little bit bigger. I'm not sure.
yeah.
But their biggest one, which I think they called it a medium, was equivalent to a 15-gallon
Yeah,
tub
I have those too with the front door
with the
openings, but
front, latch. And those are the ones I'm like, okay, I could see myself keeping, an adult in one of these.
yeah.
And it just, they came in blue or black. And, I was like,
Yeah.
man,
I have all the blue
those look
ones.
like they can stack. Nice.
Yeah, but I don't use those anymore.
Okay. Send them to
Because
me next time you're in Chicago. Yeah, I'll just try them out.
yeah. But yeah, they're just in my garage
So
right now.
one thing I like about the tubs, and tell me if this is the same with your shoe boxes too, is that humidity, I feel like with gargoyle geckos and actually a lot of the new cal species, humidity is more important than when I even originally learned about these geckos. It is so vitally important to them,
Yeah.
right?
Especially with the
And
shedding.
they're shedding, but just in general, I think their overall health,
Yeah.
they need a very humid environment, and then we can actually increase the heat safer with these geckos, right? We don't have to keep them at 72. We can keep them at 78,
Yeah.
they'll grow faster, they'll eat better, their metabolism will be higher, but they'll be safe because of the humidity. And I find that these tubs, I have a glass enclosure right here, the 18-18-24, and it's got its pros for sure. It's the most beautiful tank I have here,
Yeah.
but it dries out like crazy. I have to have a
Yeah.
mist system, which you can see
Mm-hmm.
back there, constantly going. Where with these guys, I can spray once every 3 days, and it's not a frog environment, but
Yeah.
it keeps that ambient humidity in there. And how does that work with the shoe boxes that you have?
Some of them come with like a lot of venting, and then there's some that come with minimal venting. So when
Okay.
I get ones that have like too much venting, I'll tape it just
Yeah.
so I don't get too much to where it dries out so fast. So I just use like regular packaging tape, like the clear packaging tape, and I'll just tape, you know, the back of where a lot of the venting is at.
Yep.
That way
No,
you
that's
can
smart.
you yeah, and then if it's too much or too little, you can always go back and you can always, rearrange it.
Take off the tape.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Very customizable, which is great. That was my one problem. So I did a video on these. These are the Costco shoe drop boxes. Did you
Oh
ever see
yeah.
those?
Yes.
So they're more rigid than a lot of the ones that you get on Amazon. All four sides are kind of an acrylic. Not really, it's a plastic, but it kind of feels like acrylic. Um, but I wouldn't try to take them apart and flat pack them again, even though they come flat packed.
I actually just
Have you
I
done
know
it?
what you're talking about because I had some of those and I actually upgraded them to this one and I broke literally all of them just trying to, close them back down. They all broke. So it's like they were all
Yeah.
useless. Whereas
It's a one
these,
time put together.
yes, exactly. So that's why I was like, oh God, no. It's like I can't afford to do that every time I move. So that's why
Yep.
these are perfect because I mean they just snap together. There's three pieces snap together and
Hmm.
that's it. And it's just perfect. I
That's
love them.
great. Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. And, I'm lucky in that, depends on how you look at it. I'm staying in this house until I'm 6 feet under is what my wife says. So, if I can get pretty permanent where people who, and thank you so much for your family for serving. I don't want to appreciate that because it is
Thanks.
such a wonderful thing that you guys are doing. So thank you for your sacrifice. Um, But with the enclosures, the humidity is always hard to gauge. With these, I had to drill into them and make my own vents because there is no air vent really.
Yeah.
Where I know with a lot of the shoe boxes that you can buy on Amazon, the ones that you've shown me, they come with the vents, and like you said, you
Yes.
can customize them just with some tape. You don't have to
Yes.
actually have tools, or it's a lot more user friendly.
Yeah. There's only really a few downsides to these because the doors, they have like
Mm-hmm.
this little opening, but all you have to do is just put tape over it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to the hatchlings, because I've actually had one escape out of just like a little tiny hole that
Okay.
comes they because they would connect from the sides, and it created like a hole. Well, it comes with a hole, but the things come together, and I didn't
Yep.
realize that it had punctured that hole because I wasn't trying to puncture that hole, and
Okay.
one of the little geckos got out, and I'm like, holy crap! So I had to plug them up. I had to plug them up with tape, and I'm just like, Jesus. But I
Off to
actually,
gecko hunt. Yeah.
yeah, but those were the older ones. Like every year, they just come out with newer ones. Like now they have the magnetic door ones, and I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. But I still put, I have latches on mine. I don't know, so you can see those. They're
Mm-hmm.
actually the
Yeah.
picture
What do you use
frame.
for latches?
Yeah, they're the picture frame fasteners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like those
That's
things.
really cool.
Yeah, so that holds
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
well because
So
my
yeah.
geckos like to throw themselves at the damn doors, and so at
Mm-hmm.
night all I hear is poof, 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 and I'm like, okay. So some of them are really good and tight, like the newer
Yep.
ones, but my older ones, they're like really loose from all the moving and all that stuff. But
Happens with age.
yes,
It's like
yeah, and the
skin.
good thing is that I can always just buy some, and they're pretty cheap, so
Yeah.
it's just like it's just easier for me. But I wish, I
Yeah.
wish, I wish, I wish I could have like these badass, like
One day we'll all
enclosures.
be like LAC herps and have a room that's got, fake rain and thunderstorms, and,
Yes, yes.
it'll be great.
I'm like one day.
But for now,
Oh,
I think the other thing too is, as long as we're not sacrificing the health or anything that the gecko needs,
oh yeah,
I get creative. I'm not the richest individual in the world, and so when I'm looking at, adding up how much the tubs are going to cost, or
yeah.
how much a new rack system is going to be, I'm looking, and I know a lot of people watching this, especially if you're just starting out, would rather invest in the geckos, do what's right, but in a budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I found these cages, they weren't cages, they're shoe drop
Yeah.
boxes from Costco. I'm like, let's get creative and do that. I've actually got an idea right now that I saw where, have you ever seen where you take those big black they were like 55-gallon Sterilite tubs, and people make them into like 4x2x2s. Basically,
No, I've never
actually, I think
seen
it's like
those.
30 gallons. So actually, I'll show you real quick.
Oh, okay, cool.
So a lot of people have seen these
Oh,
from
okay, yeah.
Costco, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one video idea that I'm going to probably do is, I
Oh, just
saw
have it
where,
standing.
yeah, have it standing like this. Most people do it like this.
Yeah.
Actually drill in from the back, and they'll go and put a wood frame around it,
Huh.
and then do a glass sliding door. What I'm looking to do is do something similar, but have it vertical. This makes
Yeah.
a 30-gallon, enclosure, basically the same size as I'll put this away, as an 1818 24. I think it's a little bit bigger, honestly,
Yeah.
volume wise. It's a tub, so cleaning, it's light. You saw how I was just throwing that around,
Yeah.
and I could easily hose it out, take it somewhere. But if I can find a way of framing that, and then using some sort of glass or plexiglass,
Yeah.
probably plexi because it won't break as easy,
Yeah.
and to do a front opening door,
That'd be cool.
like, it'd be cool,
Yeah.
and if I could price it out and it's cheaper or more affordable than what the other options are out there, I think people are looking for creative solutions.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, because
You
it
know,
adds up. Uh,
Yeah, especially with, even 20 geckos. I mean, I couldn't imagine trying to rehouse, unless you're doing giant groups of geckos.
Yeah.
And so I want to jump back to that. You mentioned that with your enclosures, they only make up to a certain size. And so
Uh-huh.
because of that, you don't keep pairs in your tubs that are behind you, correct?
No, yeah, because if the geckos are on the smaller side, yeah.
Okay.
But if they're on the heftier side, no. Because I feel that
Just want to
there's,
give them room.
yeah, and give them, enough space for them to still be together, but not like, on top of each other. But I use like something like the tote that you just had, but a little smaller.
Hmm.
I put them in that, and I'll leave them overnight, and then I'll put them back in their tubs. So on my end, it's a lot of work, but I like it that
Hmm.
way. Um, I'll switch out, you know, my pairs. Sometimes I'll do two females with a male. Uh,
Sure.
but yeah,
But you can
that's how
go
I do
and,
it.
give them the enclosure they need to be together,
Oh
and
yes,
then still have the enclosures behind you work for you, right? Because I
yes.
think that's a big question a lot of people have, and that I had with certain sizes, right? If it only goes up to a, let's say, equivalent of a 10-gallon, right?
Hmm.
A lot of people don't keep pairs in a 10-gallon,
Yeah.
right? Or
Hmm.
wouldn't recommend it. So, when we get creative and we're getting, making things work for us, you found the workaround solution that works for you, which is great.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like I said, when it comes to breeding, it's a little more work on me, but it's totally worth it
Yeah.
because in the end, this is more doable for me and for my geckos.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the original geckos you brought up because I love, if you've watched this podcast before, I love talking about lineage. And you kind of had the foresight to look at geckos that were more affordable,
Mhm.
right? And buy them young and know that some of the geckos that you're producing, I've seen, the geckos that I've seen on your page, on your Instagram, you've got some amazing blotches. You showed me some ones with eyebrows. You're producing absolute fire geckos.
Thanks.
So
It took me a few
obviously
years to get there.
yeah, but you started with the genetics. And
Yeah.
so where did you buy your original stock, if you don't mind me asking? And
Um.
what drew you to that? Like, how did you know that was something, their lineage was good?
Well, mainly I actually would buy from people that were nice and talkative and more friendlier to me. You
Customer
know,
service. Who would have thunk
exactly. So exactly. I actually found a local Sharon. What is it? Sharon. Shoot. She used to be really big in the beginning. Woody.
Okay.
Sharon Woody.
Sure. Oh, yes, I've heard of her. Yeah, I
Yes.
talked to David from
She.
Gargoyle Den about her.
Yes, she lives in San Antonio, so she was local to me when I was still living in Texas. So
Okay.
I got my first gargoyle from her, and
Cool. Okay.
she was the cheapest that I could find. I think I got my gargoyle for like 200, but
Hmm.
her parents were amazing. The dad, I think is anniversary, and then
Hmm.
the mom, um, she was like a I can't even remember. It's been so long,
It's
but
okay. No, I'm impressed you remembered one of their names.
yeah. Well, because he or she, I think it's the boy.
Okay.
He's like a really deep red base with
Hmm.
phantom eyes. So
Ooh, okay.
in the beginning, I was so about phantom eyes. Like I really love those, and I kind of like gravitated towards that, away from that, just because it takes forever
Hmm.
for that trait to hit sometimes.
It
So it's
does.
like,
Yeah.
man. So so I was like, nah. But I was really into stripes in the beginning,
Okay.
and then I moved on from her to Paul from my God,
It's all right.
is it? Oh my God,
Artful auriculatus.
Paul. Yeah, Rack House. Is it Rack House?
Oh, Rack House. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, and and I ended up getting my first six stripe female
Okay.
from him. And you know, I have, I think, two from him, but I have more from his girlfriend.
Yeah. Eclipse
Eclipse,
Exotics.
yes, I have about.
Yep.
I think I have like four from her, but Paige has me. I have about like six or seven from her,
Oh
but
man, I still need to get a gecko from her.
they're all from different lineages. Except I have two from her Calypso, because
Okay.
she's the crime scene one.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have a male and a female, but they have different dads. So
See, it's making sense now why I like your collection. It's
yeah,
definitely making sense.
yeah.
Um,
I even
yeah.
have actually one from Sunshine State Serpents from
Okay.
their bug and Jewel. I think it's Jewel.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, he's not, or he or she is not that pretty, but I
Mhm.
know the genetics is going to be insane once he or she is ready to start producing.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, because a lot of the people go straight out for the color. They really want the color, but they don't want to pay the price. And I'm like, well,
Yep.
you got to understand, the more color, the more you're going to pay.
Yes.
It's like, but
Well, I'm just starting to sell some of my babies, right? And I find it interesting. Some of my, I'm pretty lucky. Most of the babies I produced this year have fantastic color. They're not all
yeah.
six stripes. I only have one of those. But
Oh, that's
for my
nice. I
first
saw that.
year, yeah, wasn't that nice?
Yeah.
I'm holding that one back.
I would too.
But thank you. Unless someone wants to, throw me a ridiculous number, that's another story.
Right.
But what's funny is, so I've had a few people reach out to me, and I'm happy to chat with everybody. And one thing I've learned just watching other breeders is, just so you don't waste time, ask people what their budget is up front,
Exactly.
right? And one thing that people are pretty honest, which I really appreciate, but
Mm-hmm.
when people go, yeah, I'm looking for an adult and I want it to have at least, this kind of coloration. They show me a picture and I got $200.
Yeah. Good luck.
Okay. Good luck. I got
Yeah.
nothing for you.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you the very best, but
Yes.
I've got a nice baby here I could maybe do that for $200,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not my most colorful baby. It's
Yeah.
got great lineage,
Mm-hmm.
but it's an infant.
Yeah. I have to explain that a lot with people that are just now getting into the hobby. You
Yes.
know, I'm like, don't always go for the ones that look beautiful. Yes, if you can afford it, go for it. But genetics is really what's going to get you what you're going to want to produce in the future. And
Hmm.
that's exactly what I did. You
Yeah.
know, there's this one male that I have. His name is Artemis. I know it's a girl name, but I named him Artemis.
I like it.
I only paid $150 for him off Morph Market, and
Nice.
he has produced all of my super blotches that I have this
Really?
year. Yes, yes. So Hellfire, Yuli, Draven, uh, Sidey, all those
Hmm.
are my super blotches, and they're still babies. They're still little,
Yeah.
and his parents, he comes from, his dad is a black and yellow, no
Okay.
color, and then his mom is orange stripe, but she barely had any color to her. But
So then how did you know?
he actually had more color than the parents did when I purchased him.
Hmm.
So I was like, so he has good color, but the parents, are not that great. I was like, so he probably has really good lineage from before. But, the guy that I bought him from was like a pet store chain that was on Morph Market.
Sure.
So he couldn't really go back into the lineage for me. So I was like, oh, I'll take a chance. It's $150,
For $150, yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
And he had, he had a lot of color to him. And I'm like, okay. So, I mean, the parents are not always going to look good, but the kids, are going to come out amazing. And, they're
Hmm.
going to have that lineage. And if you pair him up with, another, like I paired him with a few high colored blotches that I have. They're not super blotches, but they
Sure.
have a lot of color to them. And they produced some really good super blotches for me this year.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, that's
wow.
what caught my eye originally with looking at your geckos was the
Yeah.
super blotches.
Yeah.
And it's cool to know that, yeah, I mean, you're going to take a risk on a few, right? Not every
Yes.
gecko that we have is going to have amazing record keeping lineage, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to be like Paige or Gargoyle Queen or, one of those.
Yeah.
I think the industry is moving towards that. Some of the people like myself and you and we're keeping our records a little bit
Oh
better
God,
so that we
yeah.
can provide that for our customers. Because I think it's great. It's fun for us, but also it's good for the hobby.
Hmm.
But not everybody's going to have that.
No, yeah.
And if you only go with the people who are currently going to give you like 2-3 generations back,
Yeah.
we're going to find a bottleneck real quick,
Hmm.
because there's not many traits when it comes to gargoyle geckos. It's
Yeah.
almost like the Dalmatians with the crested geckos. I mean, I think most Dalmatians are pretty much related at this point,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
you know?
Yep.
So, so we got to diversify a little bit, whether that be with F1s or with some chances. And I think, it'll work out. We're going to have some fun successes, and that's what's
Oh
fun
yeah.
about mixing these and testing out new pairings and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of pairings, what is your and I asked earlier on Instagram what questions I should ask you, and I got a few. And one of the questions was, let me pull it up real quick. What traits are you working on to refine? So what's a goal of yours? What are you trying to work with right now? What are you enjoying?
um the saturation, the color, and I'm really trying to work on the horns.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that hasn't really been going my way this year.
Okay.
A lot of the babies kind of come out like hornless. They're like just like smooth. But I think once, as they start growing, their horns kind of just start coming out. Um, but I
Yeah.
have a few that have really, 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 really nice horn structure. Especially, I actually posted one yesterday. Her name's River.
Okay.
She has the most amazing horns, and
I'll have to put that picture of River right here
yes, she
just to
has
show
the most
everybody.
amazing horns. I'll have to send you a really good one because I don't think the ones that I posted last night were really showing her horns.
Yeah, then send them over to me. I'm happy
Yes,
to put it up here.
but she has she's from lizard wizard reptiles. It's like all these
Say that
names.
10 times fast.
I know.
Oh, I know. Seriously, it's like a tongue twister because everybody
Yeah.
wants alliteration,
Yeah.
right? So,
But yeah, and she she is she's comes from both parents are phantom, but she hasn't gone phantom yet. But
okay.
she never really fires up, and when she does fire up, she looks like a peachy pink color. But
Oh,
majority of the
cool.
time, she looks white. So it's like,
Oh, I did see that post.
yeah,
And actually, that made me almost think of, speaking of, Kelly and Paul, and I just had David from Tiki's. They've got their amelanistic project.
oh yes,
And
yeah.
I
I
was
don't think
like,
mine's that though, because she actually fires up. But
okay.
she's not she's not like a red. She's more like a peachy pinky color, and I'm just like
Hmm.
she's odd, but I love her. She's just
Yeah,
so pretty.
she's very pretty.
I should
I
have named her
think,
Ghost or something because she's just so white. She's just white
I've
all
said
the
this
time.
before, but the black and white ones, especially the ones without the vibrant reds or oranges,
Uh-huh.
don't get enough attention.
Yeah,
I don't give them enough attention, I'll be honest.
yeah.
But
Because everyone's
yeah,
going for
they
the
can be
colors.
gorgeous.
Everybody wants the high colored oranges and the high colored reds and stuff. Which I don't
Reds,
blame them
and
because damn, there's some out there that are
that's
like,
what got us into
holy
it.
crap. Especially the ones that are coming from Korea. It's like, oh my god, I really
Yeah.
that's like my next thing. Like I want to save enough money to import some really nice ones from Korea because it's like, oh my god, it's like
So that's a hot topic. So,
Yeah, importing.
do you mind if I ask you about that?
No, yeah, that's fine. I mean,
All right.
I don't import. I've never
Yeah,
imported before, but I mean,
I've
you're.
only done it from Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And so, speaking of horns, my girl from Northern Gecko, I bought it from someone else who bought it from Northern Gecko, but
Uh,
it's the Group 3. Holy cow, talk about horns for days. I
uh-huh.
mean, I've seen some really nice F1s, and she can compete with those. I mean, it is cool.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely a major difference compared to some of the other geckos I have. But going back to Korea, I think that's an interesting topic, especially if we, you and I have never actually imported from Korea yet,
Yeah.
right? I see some of these photos from them, and they're stunning, right? Some of
Yes.
them, like, you totally bumped up the saturation on your photo.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not fooling anybody here, okay? But even with that, they're still stunning. Even if you turn
Yes.
down the saturation, they don't even need to do that. And I've looked at it too. I think, do you know what's that name of the? There's a new service that Little Monsters
Oh,
is helping
fiddle or
with.
bottle or
Yeah, fetal, bottle,
fetal.
whatever
Yeah,
it is,
fetal. Yeah.
fetal. Um, and I looked on there, and there's some really nice
Oh my
gargoyles
god, I
there.
went on it
Even,
yesterday too, and I was like, oh my god. I saw some
yeah,
blotches on there, and I'm like, I was like, I
the
definitely have to start.
skeletons.
Yes. Yes.
Those are really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people have truly defined what a skeleton is, but we all sort of know what it is,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's basically a
Just the
blotch.
going all the way down the spine. Yeah.
Yep.
I produced
And
quite a bit of
so,
those this year.
did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, okay, let me ask you this then. I'll pivot and then I'll come back to Korea. How did you produce it? Like, did you produce it with regular blotches, mixing them with stripes,
I
or like,
mix it. They came from a mix of a blotch and a stripe. Um, but the only reason why I did a blotch and a stripe together was because I knew that the stripe had blotch in the genetics.
okay,
Um, because I had a male that only produced stripes. So even if I paired him with a blotch, I would still get a stripe no matter what. But
okay,
this year, what I did was, um, like I said, as long as I knew that the because it was a female, um,
mm-hmm.
no, the male. I'm sorry, he
Different
came from blotch and a stripe
lineage that
common.
had
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So
Okay,
what I did is I did the same thing, knowing that both on both side of the genes were going to create, you know, both stripe and blotches, and
okay.
they came out with the skeleton. I have about like four of the skeleton uh, from those.
Can I? No,
Yeah.
might need to pick one up from you. I think they're very unique looking.
Yeah.
And even I just saw a post from David from Tiki's where it looked like a skeleton, but it was tiger striping down
Oh yeah, I saw that
the
one
sides. Did you
too.
see that?
Yeah.
That was really cool. So I wonder if that's the next variation or stacking or whatever it is, line breeding. I would love to contact him and ask him. I probably should.
Yeah. You know who has
Um,
really, really nice skeleton blotches?
who?
Is Burgess. Burgess
Yes.
she's done. I have
Autumn,
some
yeah.
from her too. Like she's got some awesome geckos over there. Like I have one
It,
from her. His is a male, but he's a slow grower,
mm-hmm.
so I probably won't be able to use him until next year. His name's
Okay.
Arson, and he's freaking amazing. He is awesome, and I was like, "Why are you growing so slow?"
The ones that you want to grow are the ones that are going to take the
Yeah.
longest because
Mm-hmm.
it's like we're staring at them and stressing them out or something.
Yeah.
It's the ones we're
Right.
weighing. We're still weighing even after. So they're
Yeah.
like, leave me alone. Yeah, I mean that you. So she's got a line. I think she's calling it her purple line or
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
Um, and I actually bought. She was one of the first people I bought and had animals shipped to me when I was new to that.
Oh,
And
I
I
love her.
saw
She's
this
awesome.
little. Oh, you talk about customer service. She'll talk to you,
She
and
was actually
she's
the first one
fantastic.
that did collaboration with me, even though she
Wow.
didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I love her. She's awesome. She worked with me. Actually, she was actually one too that would always answer my questions. So
Yep.
yeah, She was
Yeah,
awesome.
I
She
mean,
is awesome.
and I probably annoyed her a little bit, to be honest with you, because I was like in between, her gecko and like two other ones, and eventually I bought hers, and I always feel bad when I'm shopping, right? Because it's like I'm only going to say yes to one of you. I only have the budget for one,
Yeah.
right? But I
Yeah.
try to be honest with everybody. But I'm getting off topic. I bought this amazing red gecko from her. I named him Carnage. I've actually sold him. I sold him to someone who just saw him, and I wasn't looking to sell him, but
Yeah.
he was so amazing. His saturation, it was the base color saturation, rivaled my girl Eve for red. But his blotching wasn't insane. It would just be like a normal red blotch, but it was a really beautiful red.
Yeah.
But I know that where she got that gecko that she sold me, she had brothers and full siblings that were even better that she's held on to. Like, I think one's called Phoenix that she's breeding, just out of this world. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you why I'm telling the story is that's one of the projects I know she's working on. And we talked about what you're trying to refine. Are there any other projects you're looking to refine, or do you see any other trends? That was the other question that got asked in the gargoyle hobby, other than, we talked about skeletons.
I mean, like you mentioned earlier too, the eyebrows, that's, recently just, started becoming a thing. But I mean, there's no way of knowing if you're going to produce something like that or not. It kind of just happens, because I have a few that,
When
have
did it start
some
popping out for you?
this year. And it's actually the same, pair that I was talking about earlier about the stripe and the blotch with the two,
Okay.
that one. So I ended up getting majority stripes from that pair, and they have eyebrow coloring. One of them isn't that great stripe wise, but he's
Mm-hmm.
got awesome eyebrow color, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep him. Maybe it'll be something
Right.
down the line that will help when it comes to getting that color saturation on the eyebrows.
Yeah, I think that's going to be something people are going to have to kind of flesh out eventually
Yeah.
is how to reproduce that.
Yeah.
Because everybody that I know that either has an eyebrow baby or has produced them, they seem to have only come out in the last like 2 years max.
Yeah.
And no one can give me a definitive answer of how they produce them.
Yeah.
It's just
It
like
just
they just
happened.
appeared one
Yeah.
day and now I've got 3 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I haven't seen anybody sell them. So I don't even know what they would go for in today's market.
Yeah.
I think I've only, I keep trying to get one from a friend, via trade, but I've never had a price put on one.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't even know what to price mine at. I mean, just because he has or she has, really good eyebrows, she doesn't have like the stripes that's going to make her go like, boom,
Yeah.
So it's like,
but she's got something unique. So,
I'm definitely going to hang on
be
to
the
that
first one on Morph Market with her, and you can charge $2,000.
Right.
So there we go. More enclosures.
That's like the last thing I need. My husband's like, are you going to stop? I'm like, no.
No. Have you heard of addictions? No.
I know. Yes, they are very addicting.
Very. Yeah. And hey, okay, let me ask you this. Do you ever see yourself, okay, you're at how many geckos total? Not just gargoyles, but total.
100
for breeders.
Almost at 100 breeders. I probably have
babies you're gonna sell.
Yeah. Probably adult wise, I have a lot because I went crazy when I first started. Like I just kept buying and buying, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. Probably half of the 150 is probably, adults.
Okay, so you're looking at 70, 75.
Yeah.
Somewhere around that ballpark.
Yeah, I have a lot.
I mean, that's a lot, right? I'm not going to lie. It's a lot, but
it's because,
people
like,
have more.
Yeah, every year, like, I switch them out. Like, I don't do, like, a lot.
The same ones.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question then is, I'm getting to the point where I'm debating, okay, 100 when's my end goal, right? And when am I going to start selling off certain breeders? And that's different for everybody. It's
Yeah,
not
it
like
is.
the answer you give me is the answer for everyone, or
Mm-hmm.
the answer I give is the same for you. But have you thought about that? And is it something you think a lot of breeders think about in the first few years, or do we just kind of like dive in and then one day we're like, ah, shit, I overstepped.
Yeah. I actually just sold a few breeders of mine in a trade. Well, they were trades actually. Um,
Sure.
so I didn't have plans on really selling them, but I'm. It kind of just
Worked out.
happened and stuff. So because I'm trying to focus on super Dalmatians, the reds and the yellows.
Mm-hmm.
And she had one that was really awesome, and I'm like, would you consider a trade? I was like, I don't really need him, but I want him.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, she was totally up for the trade. So she has Arlo now, and Arlo, I got him from Burgess. So
Okay.
I really didn't want to part with him, but he really wasn't. Um, he wasn't pairing with any of my females. Like he just didn't
Mm-hmm.
want. Maybe he just didn't like the girl that I had him with. So maybe
Maybe.
the person that has him now will have better luck, than I did. But he has a
Yep.
phantom eye, so he looks amazing. I'm like, oh my god! When she started posting pictures of him, I was like, why did I let him go? I was like,
Yeah.
but I had to. It's like, I have to make room for ones that I know that are gonna,
Right.
produce and stuff.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Even with collection size aside, right? There are certain geckos that once you start seeing the offspring, right, they can look fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But if you only have so much room, if the babies aren't what you're going for, even if the babies are nice, like I just went and traded one of my males that was probably my best producer this year, but I have a certain vision that I'm looking for,
Yeah.
right? I want to produce I want to stay so small that what I'm producing is consistently, I'm getting lateral stripes. I'm getting, at least enough coverage to be seen as a super blotch, if not an ultra blotch kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's just my vision. And so I've got some amazing males in the wings, and I had an opportunity to trade him at Tinley this past year. And he was a phantom eye. He was just
Oh,
starting to turn. But it just works out sometimes.
yeah.
But they're still sort of like your baby, and you've had them for so many years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
It's hard to let them
so,
go sometimes. Yeah, that's how I am. I'm like that with all of mine. Like it's hard to see them go, but it's exciting when especially on Instagram. If you're Instagram friends, you'll get to see them grow
mm-hmm,
up. You know,
right.
which I haven't really had the pleasure of having that until now this year because I sold some to some people that I know on Instagram. So I'm excited
Mm-hmm.
to see those grow, and I'm like, yeah, I'm excited about that.
That's
Because a lot
awesome.
of my
Yeah, no,
sales
that's,
were off Morph Market, so it's like you don't even know where they're coming from and stuff. So it's just like, oh, okay.
yeah. So, yeah, you don't know, and you don't know if you're going to connect with them eventually, but it is nice to
Yeah.
see your babies grow up. And I'm hoping if anybody buys my babies this year, which a few of you have, send me, pictures. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, are there any other trends other than eyebrows, skeletons that you see coming down the pipeline, or that you're hoping, kind of pops up?
Um, I think what everyone is aiming for is just the coverage. The
Mm-hmm.
color. That's what everyone is pretty much aiming for. Is like that ultra blotch, like that crazy, just all over, like Red Rack, he has that stripe that is almost fully covered, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, I want to know who he sold that to.
um,
So,
I think a friend of his is taking care of his whole collection, so
mm-hmm.
he's taking a break, and I'm just like, man, it's like I can just
Yeah,
imagine how that
Jake,
one
just send them to
looks.
me too, please.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah. It's like, dang.
So, yeah, he was a huge inspiration to me just to jump onto YouTube. I binged his stuff. You want to talk about like just
Yeah.
learning some of the basics, First time I ever thought about, okay, how do I pair these geckos together? He's got a great video. I'm probably going to try to mimic that and do a video like that later on. But yeah, no, shout out to him.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we've talked about, potential new trends. We've talked about your enclosures. What other species? You mentioned that you're working with super dals, which if I'm going to get into crested geckos, I'm probably going to get into super dals.
Yes,
I just love them. I don't know.
super dals.
Especially I think it's cool some of the other colors coming in, but some of the really, really white, creamy bases with just, I think they're amazing.
Oh yeah. I fell in love with the reds at first.
Okay.
And then Celestial, she's actually local in Washington here.
Okay.
She got me into the yellows. She sold me a yellow, and her ink spots are just awesome. And she is a first time breeder, but she is prolific. Like she was like on the dot, like every 35, 36 days. She was just like,
that makes you happy.
Even for being a first time breeder, like she had no duds, none. And I'm like, wow. But I think that's how cresteds are, because I have another female and she never laid duds either. And I'm just, but I guess it just really depends on the female.
Yeah, I get a little bit of envy when I talk to crested gecko people, and not all of them are 100% that easy.
Yeah.
But compared to my first year here, and I had a great first year in my opinion, looking back and having a little hindsight. But in the beginning it's frustrating. Yeah, I got literally one egg. That six stripe.
Mm-hmm.
That girl gave me one egg all season.
Oh.
It's her first season. It was her boyfriend's first season.
Yeah.
And so, if you're going to give me only one egg, at least you gave me a stunner. Okay. Yeah. But to me, it's a little bit, I wouldn't say, disappointing, but you have an expectation, right? And so if they can exceed it.
First-time breeders, it's like, it's really hit or miss on the female if they're going to, do really well, or just give you a lot of duds. And this year was really my first year of producing my stuff, because like I said, when I started out, I was buying babies. I wasn't buying adults, so my stuff is finally coming to age to where I can finally start producing stuff, so
when you say your stuff's produced, are you saying like the geckos you bought as babies are making your own production? Yes. Or are you saying, okay, yeah. So you're not saying that the babies that you've produced are now up to breeding size?
Well, both, because there's some that I have that holdbacks that I have from years back that are going to be able to, are finally at breeding next season.
I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah. To finally see what it's taken me years, but I'm finally getting there. That's the only downside about what I did. It took me longer because I buy them from babies and I grow them until breeding,
Yeah.
Because it was cheaper for me to do it that way.
Well, and I think let's just say you had the money, right? And trust me, there are some breeders where I'm like, you had some coin to drop. You started after me and you've got better geckos.
Yeah.
But when you're buying babies, I feel like you can pick up a baby that even a really experienced breeder underestimates. And all of a sudden you get some really fantastic babies that they didn't even realize, right? Even my koala baby, right? Talk about quality, right? Brian, he sold me one for a great price. With great lineage. The baby didn't look as impressive as some of his other, like absolute stunners. He produces some amazing geckos. But it turned out, I mean, I'll put a picture of it here. It turned out better than he thought, I think. I posted it yesterday and he commented.
That's the thing. It's like, even though they're babies, they're constantly growing. They're constantly, bringing in new color. Every shed, they get bigger, they get more color. That's what I love about it. It's like, no matter what, it's like one day it looks a certain way, and then it's like, whoa, what happened? You know,
Yep. Where did you come from? Is this the
yes,
right bin?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
They mix you up.
yes, and that's,
Yeah.
that's what's been happening to me this year with the babies that I have popped out. You know, they don't look
Hmm.
so good, but then like once their second or third shed comes out, and they're just like boom, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I have a lot of holdbacks this year, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, do I want to sell them or do I want to hold them? It's
Well,
like,
especially to go back to the crested geckos, I feel like the Dalmatians are very similar to the
oh
blotches in
yes,
the way they develop
yes,
sometimes. Sometimes, straight out of the eggs, they're going to be stunners. But other times, those blotches, those spots, they develop within, so many sheds.
yep.
And even after 5, 6 grams, they still start to surprise you.
Yeah, and then a lot of the times too, the red spots don't come out right away.
Okay.
So you really have to like really wait. That's why a lot of the breeders say buy them young, like really buy
Hmm.
them young, because they are constantly popping up. The ink spots get bigger, darker. You get the red spots, you get the porthole, everything. So like as
Yeah.
it grows, the color just keeps coming in, and they start getting more spots and everything. So
Right.
I'm actually holding on to all of the ones that I produced this year. So it's like, because I don't want, you know, to miss. I don't, I don't want
You don't
to.
want to miss out. They're
Yeah,
yours.
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, because
Especially if you sell them to people on Instagram and they start bragging about it. Hey, I
yeah,
can't believe you sold me this.
yeah. And I have one. I have a few that they're not even like 5 grams, and they're already popping out red spots. And I'm like, oh crap! So I can just
That's
imagine what they're gonna
fun.
look like when they're, they as they grow. It's crazy.
20, 30 grams. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And okay, so you're holding back all those babies.
Yes.
I, the best one, the one that comes out and just blows you out of the water,
Yeah, I
you're
have
not
one.
selling it.
Hell no.
You're not selling it.
No.
And let me put it a different way. Going back to gargoyles, who's your absolute favorite male gargoyle?
Um.
If I made you pick one right now.
Shoot. Who is my favorite male?
Who's the most like, if you put a picture up, everybody's going to like it?
Um. The one that I produced this year, I've had people actually message me. Godzilla. He messaged me and asked
Okay.
me if I have him named as Aries, but I don't know if it's not showing any pores yet, so I'm assuming it's going to be a female. But
Okay.
it's a really nice 6 stripe. Um, but that's the one that I'm really going to hold on to, because that's the only one that I got that's actually a 6 stripe. Because I
Well,
really
so
wasn't
my point
focusing on
is,
stripes this year.
you're not going to, most breeders, if you ask them, okay, would you sell your best, adult, or would you sell your best production of the year? No. You
No.
may trade it to a friend for another ridiculous one,
Yeah.
right?
It also depends on the
But
situation, like financially, like if you
oh,
really
absolutely.
have to, like, I came down to that, where I was like, man, I need money. It's like, but I don't want to sell anybody.
Right.
And
Well, there
it's
is that
like,
balance. If you can catch
yeah,
somebody at a down point, don't take advantage of people.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
we're not
yeah,
saying that. But yes, that's an exception. But I would say for most people who have a decent sized collection,
yeah.
my point is that you are not going to, when you buy geckos, be able to buy their best.
Oh
You're
God,
buying
no.
their
Mm-mm.
second, third, their fourth.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably,
Yeah,
most likely you're buying fourth or below.
yeah.
And so when you buy babies, like you're saying,
Hmm.
you can get those top 1, 2,
Yeah,
where you're never going to do that if you do buy adults,
yeah.
unless you've got major coin.
Exactly. Yeah, because they're insane, like 5K, even the 2K ones. It's like, geez, it's like I couldn't
Hmm.
even do that, payment plan,
Right.
and I do that a lot, like,
There's a reason I don't have the white collar chewies. They're insane. I love them, but
yeah, they're beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yep,
very fun. I want to circle back to Korea real quick, because we brought that up, and I think it's a cool topic. So I was listening to some people who were talking about the, recent imports, and I'm like thinking this is going to cost a fortune to get it across the world back here.
Yes.
And especially if I want to buy a high end one,
Mm-hmm.
you're already spending a lot to buy it and then to import
Yeah.
it. And
And then with the
God
cost
forbid
of
something goes
shipping
wrong.
constantly going up, that's what's killing us the most is the cost of shipping. Because
Yeah.
I got a message back from them, and just to just for like the fees and stuff, just from Korea here, I think it's like $400, and that's not even
Mm-hmm.
including the gecko. And I'm just like,
Yep.
wow.
And that's exactly what I heard from somebody who
Yeah.
just recently shipped in some geckos, was that it's around $400.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which, that's a big chunk of change for a lot of people,
Yeah.
right?
And then they
Unless
advise you
you,
to buy more than one. It's like, who the hell can buy more than one? It's like, geez, it's like, it's going to be a while for me
mm-hmm.
to be able to, afford an import.
Right, and some of the skeletons we were talking about, they were the ones that I was interested in. At least were over
Yeah.
$1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And so, not that there's anything wrong with the $500-$600 ones,
Yeah.
but if I'm gonna go and put that much money into shipping, I want something that I'm showing off,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I'm not just I can go somewhere domestic and get an okay looking gargoyle
Mm-hmm.
gecko.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting concept. Even with $400, maybe going in with some friends,
Yeah.
that might be an idea for people
Yeah.
to buy one gecko and cut the shipping down. That might be a really great way.
Yeah.
But
That would
with
probably
just the
be like
overall
something to
market,
do.
yeah, maybe the market, and I don't know how. I think most people I talk to, unless you're selling super high end stuff
Mm-hmm.
or like super dirt cheap stuff, the market's really not moving a ton. Do you find that?
Oh God, yeah. It's hard for me right now to move stuff. Even
Yeah.
locally, it's like everybody, like the gargoyle market is just overflowing with, with inventory from all kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, whereas in the beginning it was just like there was a few pages on Morph Market, now there's like 1,000 pages. It's like, geez,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And
So
then,
maybe the silver lining to that is maybe even the Korean stuff that's super crazy,
yeah,
prices might drop a little bit.
yeah,
That's my hope.
yeah. Hopefully,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yep.
I actually just joined Morph Market. I paid for Morph Market for the
Mm-hmm.
first time this month, and I've gotten zero hits.
Really?
Zero hits. I mean, it's only been a few days,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, right now the
if
market is
anybody's
just
looking,
crazy. Yeah. I too have a Morph Market account, but I think I've only gotten one this year, one or two this year.
mm-hmm.
But majority of them come from like Instagram or, local. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
interesting. I
hard.
wonder if anybody's listening to this podcast. Leave in the comments, how many geckos have you sold this year on
Mm,
Morph Market? Like
yeah.
strictly through Morph Market. Is it something viable in this year, or maybe it'll change next year? But it'd be interesting to see what our viewers' experiences are. So
Yeah.
please leave a comment down below. Let us know, because obviously social media, you're not allowed to sell
Yeah.
technically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but
But that's
yeah,
where
even
everything's at, like Instagram
yeah,
especially. But everything has to go through
ex-
Messenger, so it's just like it's easier that way.
yeah. So have you altered your pricing at all?
Yeah, I actually went down on my pricing,
Mm-hmm.
just hoping stuff would move. But even then, it's like you know people want the color, but they don't want to pay the price. It's like
Right,
come on, like think about it.
right.
It's
And
like
I'm wondering if people are selling them for that much money.
yeah,
Again, if anybody's listening, they've bought a gorgeous gecko for under $200. A, tell me where you bought it, and B,
yeah,
put a picture and comment down below.
yeah,
Um, yeah, because I just when I'm trying to look for stuff, I can't find stuff that I'm interested in for cheaper than $600.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And what helps out too
so
with a lot of these beginners is payment plans. And that's what's been helping me
oh yeah,
too is, when I still do it with some people and they trust me, you know,
yeah,
I mean, payment plans work out a lot. They help out a lot. And there's some people that won't do it. And I get it. I get it,
hmm
you know, but that's what helps me when it comes to, certain, people.
yeah. Do you put parameters on your payment plans?
Yes. I usually give them, depending on the time of year, and
Hmm
if there's like no shipping window, like I'll do like 30, 60 days. But I think
Okay,
60 is probably the most that I'll do. Um,
right.
and if I have to do a winter hold, I will. Um,
hmm
but there's a lot of breeders that won't do the winter hold. So that's also what helps me as well, is trying to work with the buyer. So it'll
hmm
encourage them to want to, to want to buy as well if you're willing to work with them. And
Absolutely.
so yeah, I've had
Yeah,
that.
I've done a few, and successfully, very
Hmm.
successfully. I've sold some geckos on payment plans.
Hmm.
I've never bought one on a payment plan. My wife is very fiscally responsible and on me, so she wouldn't let me put down a deposit to save my life. I always feel bad because people will be like, "Oh, I wish I could afford that." Well, I could give you a payment plan. I go, "Yes, you're willing. I'm willing. My wife is not willing."
Right.
So, and she's the one I got to make happy. Um,
The
but
good thing my husband's not
yeah,
involved
no,
in my reptile business. He's like, that's
yeah,
your own
no.
thing.
Yeah, I'm actually, as much as I joke about it, I'm so lucky because she even has a whole spreadsheet. So if I'm going to treat this like a business,
Mhm.
she does all the math for me. So that's the hard part. I get to have
Oh, okay,
fun,
yeah.
and she gets to keep
Do
track
all
of
the
all
work.
everything. And
All the
yeah,
work.
so I love her. She's great.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
she really is the best. Um, but yeah, it's one of those things where it really does help people, and for
Yes.
whatever reason, it's psychological even because
Yeah.
realistically, you could just save up and
Yeah.
then just offer the money then, unless it's like a gecko that's going to go like that.
Yeah.
But I'm always willing to work with people, and I think
Yeah.
we're all trying to help each other
Yeah,
out, and if
exactly.
if if we can make it work, why not? But
Yeah.
yeah, you got to put those parameters on because
Yeah, definitely.
I've heard stories, luckily I haven't been a part of it, where people drag it out or they get partial and then want a refund.
Yeah, no.
And,
Mm-mm.
it can
They
get
never,
hairy fast
with
when you're doing
mine,
partial.
I asked for a 25 down deposit, but it's
Yep.
non-refundable.
hmm That's
And
smart.
yeah. And like I said, they have 30. I That's like the minimum is like 30 days.
hmm
But like I said, it depends on what time of the year it is. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, payment plans help out a lot of people.
they do. Yeah, I think they can. They're great.
Yeah.
With the right people and the right parameters,
Yeah.
they definitely work. Um, yeah, and speaking of winter, we're in that season.
Mhm.
When do you cut off shipping your geckos? Because right
Well,
now we're right around Halloween.
yeah,
Happy Halloween, everybody.
yeah. Um, I don't know. It depends because the weather here is weird. It's like super cold in the mornings and then it's like, warm in the afternoons. But so I always have to just go off of what the hub temperature is going to look like and what,
hmm
the buyer's temperature is going to look like as well. But I think I might be able to pull off another month or a few weeks. And then I'm
Okay.
just going to do it just to local.
Okay. Do you normally like the rule of thumb that I kind of go with is that if it's over 40 degrees at night,
Yeah. Hmm.
then I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Then I can package it. No, especially because I only ship hub to hub.
Yes,
I
me
don't
too.
ship to people's
Yeah, no, no, no,
houses.
no, no. I've had a
It's
bad
not worth it.
experience when it came to me. The person didn't want to do hub to hub. They wanted to do straight to the door, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
hmm
And I'm like, I don't understand why you're giving me such a hard time. It's like it's gonna be my
And
time
most
picking it
people
at the hub.
prefer the hub to hub.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't get it. And but she ended up doing to my door, and the stupid FedEx people didn't ring my doorbell. They just tossed my package there, and I didn't even know how long it was out there, and I'm just like, you are so stupid. So yeah, I only
Yep.
do hub to hub because that's like the safest. You know your gecko is going to be taken care of until you pick it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I actually love my local hub. The lady who is the same lady every time I pick up, and she calls them the little critters. What little critter did you get this time? I don't like these critters. I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
And she just goes off about how she can't stand them. But every so often I'll get a really nice looking one. Like when I got my one from Renee King's Dragons. Anyway, so the one I got it from Renee King. So he's a ridiculous like red base, red super blotch, and I took that thing out and it was fired up.
Oh yeah.
Like
I love that.
better than anything I've ever seen.
They're always fired up.
Oh, it was great. And even she goes, I don't like those critters, but that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty. It's like a little ruby. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. Cool.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, show me your critters next time. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, the FedEx that
you
I
make
used
friends with them.
in Georgia, they knew me. I was always in there picking up something. So they already knew me too. But not here yet.
That's awesome. No.
Not yet.
I
haven't been here long enough.
Gotta make those new friends. Very cool. That's awesome. Well, I feel like I've made a new friend tonight.
Definitely.
We've had a lot of fun talking about all different gargoyle related topics, which I really appreciate. Hopefully you had fun talking too.
Yes.
But I really appreciate, Crystal, that you came onto this.
Thanks for having
I know this
me.
is your first podcast, right?
Yes. You made it very easy.
I try. I mean, all we're doing is just chatting geckos. So if anybody out there who wants to chat geckos with me, hit me up. I'm happy to have you guys on the show. But Crystal, thank you so much for your time. Where can people, if they're interested in finding you, your gargoyles, or even your crested geckos, if they're into Dalmatians, where can they find you?
I'm mainly on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
But yeah, just Crystal's Creatures on both.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, your name, it's simple.
Yes.
I'm guessing it didn't take super long to come up with, but it's perfect.
Yeah.
So go support Crystal. Go check out her page. She's got some amazing geckos, obviously. And if you're on Facebook, be nice to her. Don't don't give her crap.
Right.
All right. So thank you so much. You have a wonderful rest of your night, and thank you for coming on.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, if you've enjoyed this video and want to encourage me to make more gargoyle gecko content, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, share this with a friend, and maybe check out one of the videos right over there. I'll see you next time on Gecko Cove.